Hello and welcome back to 1991 Review, continuing our series reviewing characters from Tale of a Herding God. Today, let's join me to learn about the second most powerful elder in the Disabled Elders village, second only to the village chief. This person is none other than the mute elder. This grandfather, who specializes in blacksmithing, is named Abba, and he is a descendant of the celestial artisan god clan. To truly understand the mute's identity, we must go back to the time when the founding emperor, Ka Huang, established his nation, creating the prosperous Kai Wang era. At that time, he was aided by the four great celestial emperors, the Earth Count, and especially the celestial artisan, the great god who governed the heavens. Under the command of the celestial artisan was a race known as the celestial artisan god clan, who carried a portion of his power. The celestial artisan ordered a part of his clan to help the founding emperor. Because of their skill in forging and crafting treasures, the art of smithing reached an unprecedented peak during the Kai Wang era. Many great architectural achievements, machines, and divine weapons were created. Among them was a man named Li Yuran, hailed as the most powerful celestial artisan of his time. Even in later ages, few could reach his level of mastery. Under his talented hands, the great netherworld arcs were forged. At the end of the Kai Wang era, the 10 heavenly venerates grew jealous and ordered the destruction of the Kai Wang nation. Li Yuran once again took action, crafting two peerless divine artifacts. The first was a deep divine blade, which cut off the horns of the Earth Count, established Fengdu, the underworld capital, and transformed into a divine mountain to ward off the darkness. The second was the Carefree Village and the Carefree Sword, which sheltered the people through calamity. Li Yuran personally drew the attention of the heavenly court, buying time for his clansmen to escape. He then went to the Buddhist realm and became the heavenly King Buddha of the Devas, and under protection of the Buddha, the heavenly court dared not touch him. However, his clansmen were not so fortunate. They fled on a netherworld arc, but were intercepted by Han Tianjun and his troops from the heavenly court. 9/10 of them were slaughtered by the celestial army. Only a small fraction survived, simply because the heavenly court had grown weary of the act. At that time, Han Tianjun imprisoned them on the ark, using a seal that would take the descendants of the celestial artisan god clan over 20,000 years to break. They eventually managed to open a small path, allowing a single child to escape. That child grew up carrying many secrets of history and knowledge far beyond the comprehension of humanity at the time. But his trusting nature was his weakness. He was deceived by the world, tricked into revealing countless secrets, and his knowledge was stolen, to the point that he had to destroy his own tongue, vowing never to speak another word. The world lost a master craftsman, and in the dilapidated great ruins, there was one more mute old man, sitting by his forge day after day, working the bellows and hammering iron. The disabled elders thought their lives would continue like this forever, until one day, a basket drifted down the river and arrived at the gate of the disabled elders' village. Inside was a baby, whom Granny C took in and raised. The village chief named him Chin Mu. From that day on, the 9 elders found a new purpose, dedicating themselves to teaching this child. The mute taught him daily how to work the bellows, fan the charcoal, and swing the forging hammer. The mute's smithing skill was sublime. Everything he forged, from swords and blades to butcher knives, was of the highest quality. Each item sold on the market fetched a heavenly price, yet demand always outstripped supply. A single butcher knife he made was sharp enough to sever any weapon, truly deserving to be called a divine armament. Throughout his childhood, Chin Mu was diligently taught by the 9 elders. He lived amidst the affection of these disabled old folks. Granny C loved him like a son. Cripple often took him out to play. Grandpa Ma, blind and deaf, taught him with all their hearts. Butcher trained him ferociously, and apothecary often used him to test medicines. As for the mute, he was an old man with a gentle smile, but deep down, he was a child who never grew up. He often tricked Chin Mu into his traps, putting on a gentle facade to play pranks. Once, he casually tossed Chin Mu an incredibly heavy sword pellet, which instantly flattened Chin Mu to the floor. Despite his teasing and roguish demeanor, the mute's affection for Chin Mu was undeniable, no less than anyone else in the village. It can be said that the mute's way of teaching profoundly influenced Chin Mu's future personality. Countless heroes, from Grand Chancellor Ban Gongzhou and Xing, and to the heavenly venerates, were often tricked into miserable situations by the gentle, rustic smile Chin Mu learned from the mute. Besides his forging talent, the mute's power was likely second only to the village chief, and his potential was even greater. This was because he was a descendant of a god clan, and his divine bridge was not severed. He had simply dedicated his life to forging and did not focus on combat cultivation. The day the junior patriarch visited the village, he recognized that besides the village chief, who was a sword god of unparalleled strength, there was also an old man with a hammer who had the strength to match the patriarch. As a descendant of a god, the mute was not afraid of the darkness of the great ruins. He could enter and exit at will, something others could not do. He often piloted a silver boat of his own creation, which could transform into any shape. to travel into darkness and search for forging materials in ancient ruins. When Qin Mu came of age and left the village for Dian Kang to study, the mute was the first to leave. No one knew when he left. By the time they noticed, he was already gone. During the rebellion at Qianbu City, Qin Mu accidentally summoned the Duqian Devil King. His spell went out of control, and the Devil King tried to open a portal between worlds. As demons poured through, the mute appeared and unleashed thousands of sword pellets, creating a sky-spanning rain of swords that enveloped the entire massive city. The silvery sword light swam through the air like tens of thousands of fish, battering the Duqian Devil King into a sorry state. At that moment, Qin Mu was reunited with the mute and joyfully embraced him, but the mute's chest was too heavy to hug. Only when the old man put down his chest could Qin Mu finally tackle him. The two joked around like grandfather and grandson. The preceptor approached, expressing his admiration for Mute. The Mute gave a demonstration. Countless round sword pellets flew out his chest, melted into a liquid mass, then reformed into all sorts of weapons and treasures, finally becoming a silver boat that carried him away, leaving Qin Mu and the preceptor gaping in astonishment. Qin Mu said, "That is an elder from my family," making the preceptor even more curious about Qin Mu's background, wondering what kind of family could have an elder with such incredible talent and power. Afterward, Qin Mu brought what he learned from the mute to Dian Kang, improving the quality of their machinery, mechanics, and weaponry. The equipment, enhanced by this divine craftsmanship, became far more efficient than before. Not only that, using his forging skills, Qin Mu replicated the divine artifact, the Sunshot Divine Cannon, a weapon that could pierce the heavens and slay gods. Because of this, the gods from the upper heavens descended, determined to destroy Dian Kang. Qin Mu rallied the heroes of the world, and the 9 elders joined the fight. The mute took a mountain peak for himself, his body blazing with fire as he soared into the sky, like the supreme divine fire, ready to incinerate the world. He fought alongside his comrades, successfully repelling the gods but was heavily injured, his flames nearly extinguished. Fortunately, Qin Mu saved him in time. After that event, calamity befell Dian Kang and its people suffered. The 9 elders once again stepped in to help. While Qin Mu went to the heavenly court, the 9 elders stayed behind, passing on their skills to the world. The mute was among them, sharing his knowledge and secrets, elevating Dian Kang's forging and crafting techniques to new heights. In just a few decades, they began to catch up to the level of the old Kaiwang era. His skills quickly turned Dian Kang into the forge of the universe, and he himself progressed ceaselessly. On the Tao of forging, he achieved micro-level forging, where even the smallest atoms were tempered by his hammer, imprinting great Tao runes onto them. The products he created were not only improved in form and quality, but were also more fuel efficient. Unlike Qin Mu, who focused only on power, creating machines that consumed double or tripled energy. He also forged peerless divine weapons for the other elders in the village. The village chief's sword, upon its completion, caused the entire Tao of the sword to resonate, making every sword-shaped weapon in Dian Kang tremble. Butcher's knife could slash through the void. Granny C's Tao wheel was endlessly versatile, and the riding brush of death and the shoes of Cripple were masterpieces among masterpieces. That year in the ancestral court, Cripple went missing while preventing prehistoric invaders from entering their universe. In his grief, Qin Mu went on a rampage, slaughtering the sealed invaders and seizing their divine metal weapons. Death took this pile of divine metal and, using his mastery of the Tao of forging which had reached the 28th heaven, fused it with the Tao fire from the Vermilion Bird Southern Emperor's ancestral land. He smelted the divine metal and quenched it in the supreme Een and cold waters of the celestial Een Sea. He then invited the Northern, Western, and Eastern Emperors, along with Blind, the founding Emperor, the Preceptor, and all masters of sword and formations to forge the Calamity Sword, a sword born to face calamity. The mute's mastery of the Tao had reached a terrifying level. He worked in silence, completely focused on forging, leaving Li Yuran, who watched from the side, sighing in admiration. Li Yuran didn't even know how many generations of his descendant the mute was. But now, the new generation was surpassing the old. The mute could now match him, taking the Tao of forging to a level that even Li Yuran himself had never achieved. Seeing this, the man once hailed as the greatest celestial artisan smiled with satisfaction. When the second great calamity descended and the heavenly court's grand army arrived, Dian Kang revealed armaments that defied imagination. From cold cannons and sharp sword pellets to weapons modeled after the divine artifact of the 4 emperors, along with great battleships, war chariots, and sun and moon ships. It was all a testament to a glorious age of forging that had reached its pinnacle, surpassing the achievements of the ancients. And all of it was driven by the hands and mind of the mute. He refined forging into a new great Tao, opening a path of prosperity for future generations. He later cultivated the level of Dao Tian, planted a Tao tree, which blossomed with Tao flowers and bore a Tao fruit, its light shining for eternity. The old man then participated in the war to stop the invasion from the Myriada Palace, becoming a crucial force in the battle. 100 billion years later, his legacy remains, and the world still enjoys its sweet fruits. High in the heavens, a shining Dao fruit hangs, gently swaying in the leaves of a sky-covering Dao tree, a testament to a peerless genius. So, that was some information I compiled about the Mute. Do you like this character? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. That's all for this video. Goodbye and see you again.